We all need a place to live. Shelter actually falls on the bottom of Maslow's levels of fulfillment. Hi, my name is Jess Malabone, and for this assignment I decided to interview Kristen Kaufman, a local real estate agent. Kristen Kaufman was a graduate of the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, where she received a degree in business management. After several years of being a bank teller, she decided that it just didn't meet her and her family's needs, so she decided to go wait tables and go back to school. Going back to school, she found herself interested in real estate, so she went to the J.Y. Monk Real Estate School, which took 75 hours of classes, costing $1,500 to take the North Carolina State Brokerage exam and to also take post-education classes. Because when you get your real estate degree, apparently it's provisional license until you receive an additional 90 hours of education. So that was a good start in finding out if this was the right career for me. As bank teller, Kristen grew comfortable working with the general public. So this was a question I had for her to get a tip for being more comfortable in interacting with strangers. Turns out it wasn't a problem for her, which is probably why this career is such a great fit. Her advice was to be open and honest and have direct communication so that her clients feel as if they can trust her. Working tables is an independent job, but anyone that's worked at a restaurant knows there is some teamwork involved. And in deciding whether or not to work independently or with a firm, it fell along the same lines. So Kristen decided to work for the Lennox Property Group. She tends to work independently, but there are team members behind her to work as needed. It's a competitive field, but she had an example that when her boss was out of town and a client wanted a showing, she was able to go show the house for her boss. Her boss didn't cut her in on the commission, but gave her an hourly rate, and other team members have done similar things. She said that working with other people made it really easy for her to toss ideas back and forth, but she does tend to get distracted, so in order to get a lot of work done or stuff that she feels confident in, she actually tends to work independently. And being interested in Maslow's triangle of needs, I wanted to see where she felt self-esteem was related to her job, or if her job was related to her self-esteem. She actually said it went both ways. She said that she had the courage to stop employment and try something new because she had success in other areas, such as volunteer events and also running in marathons. But also having the success in her real estate field, she was able to achieve an even greater level of self-esteem. So in balancing the pros and cons of a change in careers, I asked her some positive and negative aspects of her job. So the negative aspects would be safety and potential ethical issues. I'll explain. So with safety, if you're going out to show a house alone or in an unfamiliar, potentially unsafe neighborhood, you could feel at risk. So in the beginning, she said she felt more comfortable taking her husband along on her jobs, but that made potential clients sometimes feel uncomfortable as it didn't come across as professional. So she now has a check-in system where one person in her family and one person at work knows where she is, that she's going to show a house, and about what time she should be back. So this helps accountability, and it has helped her be able to do her job more securely, for her own peace of mind. The other, with the ethical issue, is in real estate, there's something called dual agent or dual agency. So it would be where a real estate agent would represent both the buyer and the seller, and that can cause an ethical issue because if you're trying to sell a house for the most amount of money, the seller, but the buyer wants the very best deal, then you can have a conflict of interest there. So what her agency does is they will become a dual agency. They will have a broker for the buyer and a broker for the seller. That way there's no conflict of interest. Now another issue that could go in both columns as a positive or a negative is commission, income. So one month you might sell multiple houses and be pretty well off financially, but then the next month you might not have any showings or just have your rental income. So not quite a feast or famine situation, but definitely the potential for concern since the housing market tends to ebb and flow. So I asked her how she handled the situation. Now for her personally, she was able to rely on her husband's income. That's not something that I would be able to do, so she suggested different ways to invest and implement a 10% savings program. So she always puts a little bit back, no matter how much she gets. That way she's prepared for the months that aren't as successful as others. The biggest positive for me would be able to make my own schedule, and I think that would be the most beneficial for myself and my family, being able to work when it was convenient and not have to punch a clock. So that definitely struck me as a huge positive in the real estate field. So today we have learned about becoming a real estate agent and how it is incorporated into Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Thank you.